Hello, I'm Simon. Welcome back to the workshop. Now in this video I'm going to be making these beautiful boxes for some Ukrainian kids that I know. So let's get tinkering. If you're a long-term viewer, you might remember that I made some cherry Christmas tree decorations for the same kids. These boxes are based on a basic design I got from an online box designer. I then added their names to the outside of the lid and a Ukrainian trident symbol to the inside of the lid. And you'll see later how I've gilded these features. Now I'm pretty good at creating function, but when it comes to form, making something beautiful is not something that I'm particularly good at. So I'm going to make it a priority this year to try and upskill myself in improving the form of the things that I make to make them look more aesthetically pleasing. Now I didn't calibrate the laser correctly. I assumed that the settings in the library that I had were going to be good enough, and they weren't. It didn't quite cut all the way through. So I'm going to have to gently remove these so I don't break anything. But I think it'll be okay, just a little bit of extra work. Now I thought I could just gild this and then stick these little tiny pieces back on, but I think they're too small to stick on. I think it's going to be a bit of a mess. So I thought I'd try something else. And I'm thinking, if you imagine this is a solid piece, then if I gild this piece and just stick it on, it'll work better. I've never done any gilding before, and you can see I made a right pig's ear of it. So I'm going to have another go. I've now bought the correct glue, and we'll see if I can do a better job using the correct glue. And hopefully, I can cut out a load of these and try until I get it right. But I think that'll look quite nice. This is the top of the lid, and I also thought that I could knock these pieces out, gild the underneath, which is why I made these pieces, and then I'll have some nice gold lettering coming out. I don't know how well that's going to work, but it's another thing I need to experiment with. So here I'm sizing the wood before applying the gold leaf. Now size is just some sort of special glue. It looks a little bit like PVA. I'm not sure if it is or not. It does say that it's slightly harmful and can cause skin irritation, so it probably isn't PLA. But you basically put that on first, let it almost dry, and then you apply the gold leaf. Now the gold leaf is really difficult to apply. It basically is a little bit like cling film in that it sticks to your fingers. It's incredibly fragile, and I struggle quite a bit, but I managed to get it on a flat surface. I've tried a number of times to get it on the 3D surface of that trident, but I just can't do it. It's just too difficult, so I'm going to have to think of a different approach there. I think whilst it's not particularly professional, it's going to work for the application that I've got. Here I'm just popping out the little bits that didn't quite cut all the way through in the lettering. I need to just keep this little circular piece because I need to glue that back in, and I'll glue that back in probably with some super glue or some probably U-glue I'll use. And I've just dry fitted these two pieces together just so that you can see what the effect of the gold leaf on the piece underneath is to the cuts that I've made above, and hopefully you'll agree it looks quite nice. It does give a bit of a shimmer. It's not particularly obvious in some lights, but in other lights it really does zing. And these two boards will be glued together using normal wood glue. Now I've decided on a strategy for this trident, and I think it's going to look really good. I'm again going to use the gold leaf just to gild the surface of the other side of that piece of veneer that I cut out, and that will then shine through. And to make the trident itself pop, I'm just going to paint it black. So I'll have the wood surround with a black trident, and then all the gaps will be the gold leaf shining through. I've now discovered that the gilding glue that I bought is a contact adhesive and therefore needs to completely dry. And this is some of the reason why I've been struggling applying the gold leaf to the glue. Now that I understand this, the gold leaf is going on a lot easier, although it's still pretty difficult to do when you're very new at it. Here I'm applying PVA glue so that I can glue this to the back of the lid. Now I can glue up the main box. I'm using a small paintbrush to apply the glue, and I found that this works best for these small finger joints. PVA needs to be absorbed to adhere, and therefore I'm using Yoo-hoo to glue these trident pieces on top of the gold foil gilding. I'm now gluing all the little bits of the letters, again using Yoo-hoo. I deliberately designed these finger joints to be a little bit too long so that I could sand them down to remove the burn marks. I thought this would look nicer, but I think with this darker wood it actually looks better if the ends of the joints are actually dark rather than light. Now sanding the tabs off of the end, and you can see that I've sanded a bit too hard, and I've gone through what I thought was a walnut veneer, but it turns out this is just coloured walnut with a stain, because this and this is the same piece of wood as this. This has just got a stain on it. It's not actually a veneer at all, which is a bit annoying because that's what I thought I'd bought. So I'll make another box, and I'll not bother buying this wood again. I'll just stick to normal basswood. That way, if I want to stain it, I can do it myself. Or better still, I'll source some proper plywood from a proper wood shop, and then I'll know that it'll have proper walnut veneer on the outside. All that remains is to apply a few coats of Danish oil. I'll end up using about 4 coats. To finish these boxes off, they'll have felt on their bases so that they don't scratch whatever they're put on. This will also improve the finished feel of the piece. And on the inside I'll also line the base in felt, again to make the piece feel finished. Well, I hope you agree this is a step up in the right direction towards making my projects look a lot nicer. And to be honest, I've really enjoyed the decoration part of this project and am very satisfied with the overall look. But I would also love to hear from you. What do you think of this project? What could I have done differently? How would you have gone about it? So let me know in the comments. If you like what I do, then please consider subscribing. It's completely free and it will encourage me to make more videos. And if you haven't already, then please share, like and subscribe. It makes a massive difference to a little channel and it will help my little channel grow. Take care and I'll see you very soon.